This is always a great time of the year. Late spring is in full bloom here, and in fact the leaves have just filled out, and it's time to launch the boat in Lake George, New York, for those of you from other places. It's all hooked up, it's been spiffed and polished and cleaned and repaired, and everything's ready to go. Yeah, I got it. There we go. And off we go up the hill. Well, we had our first near major catastrophe. All our beloved noodles for swimming and floating in the water almost flew out the back as I left the door open, so they got to stuff these in the car. And here we go down to Norwalk.
Made it. Oh, this guy's
Looks a little busy here today.
Yeah, watch out for him.
Yeah, he's got a boat, so I got to pull over here a little bit. Oops. Where's he going? Oh, he's parking. Okay. Now I'm getting a ticket for what? What's this? Has been inspected.
Yep.
Okay. Let me hand this to the boss.
That's the boss.
Okay. And now the official, what do you call this? Oh, this is your seal.
I love it.
Well, I know it's a seal, but
You can just clip it off. Yeah.
yeah, because this boat sat in the garage a mile up the road for all
Guys,
year.
have a safe day.
We will, by all intents. Our boat's in the water here at Norwalk. I just have to climb on and see if it starts. Always a little bit of excitement for that. Here's my luggage. I'm going steerage. All right, here goes nothing. Ooh, it's peeing on the dock with great force. That means the impeller still works. And with that, we are on easily one of the most stunning lakes in the United States. Let me just say that there are many, many pretty lakes, and they're all great. But this one has a special spot in my heart. So right off over here, this is Green Island with the 100-some-year-old Sagamore Hotel, which everybody knows about. Of course, the originals have burned up 2 or 3 times. And the latest one is whatever. We're in a no-wake zone, so we can take our time putting out here. Wow, there are a lot of people out, and the lake is very calm today. There's people doing kayaks. The water temperature, I think, is low 60s, so not real conducive to swimming, but we'll see. And there's the Norwalk Marina. We'll be back there in 5 months and change. Boy, I like the telltale on this motor. The impeller job I did is working very nicely, which is good. I just got to make sure I don't do something stupid and fall overboard here. The water here is a lot smoother than some of the stuff we've seen in the Gulf of Mexico, but this lake can get very choppy and in some respects as bad as the Gulf at times, especially in thunderstorms. So for orientation purposes, that's Black Mountain right there, the tallest mountain on the lake. And this thing here is called the Tongue Mountain Range, and it's actually a peninsula. And on the left side here is Northwest Bay, for those of you not familiar. And on the other side of the peninsula of Tongue Mountain is called the Narrows, and it goes another 20 miles or so up to Fort Ticonderoga. And then right there on the Rocky Cliffs is Shelving Rock Mountain, and behind it is Sleeping Beauty. And there's Buck Mountain, and Crown Island, and then Green Island. And now you've got the map. There'll be a pop quiz at the end of all this. Okay. Picked up the first passenger. That would be the Admiral.
Yeah.
Sir, welcome aboard. Is there anything I can get you?
Oh, well. No.
Okay.
A fine time.
The sun is pretty brutal at this time of the year, so we're going to put the canopy up. And we're very familiar with how this works. Gonna take the cover off. Oops. It snagged over the light. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right. Putting that in the big, this is the bathroom changing room down here. Okay. All right. That's relief from the sun. And now we get to drive up the shoreline and gawk at the neighbors. So there's a fair number of associations on Northwest Bay here, headed south toward Bolton Landing. But as you head north, the real estate gets more and more exclusive. There's some full-on multi-acre, multi-hundred feet lakefront houses. Let's get a sample of them. All right, off in the distance there, now being eclipsed by the double tree, is a giant Adirondack chair. It's a little bit far away, but it's actually about 3 times as big as you'd need it. So it's a Paul Bunyan-sized chair. Nice house. Nice lakefront place here. So did you catch anything yet?
Yeah, we're catching a few small ones here and there, not bad.
Yeah. Well, you're doing the right spots.
Oh, here's a small one.
Oh, we got one.
A real small one.
Story of my life. Oh, that's not that small. Hammerhead or a blue tip shark?
Hammerhead.
So we have to swing wide of the shore right here because Indian Brook comes off the mountains here, and there's a fairly substantial delta here. And they've got it buoyed because if you go roaring across that with a deep keel, you're going to hit something. And in fact, because Lake George is so notoriously clear, it's 10 feet down and you can see the bottom quite easily. The charm of this lake, assuming you exclude the pollen floating on the surface. And on the starboard side, we're kind of scooting up past Tongue Mountain Range here. Somebody's calling me. Anyway, this is Lagoon Manor here, and they recently changed out all their docks, and they now have aluminum docks, and everybody's got a boat lift. So no more rocking and rolling and getting beat up in the water. Here's their old school boathouse building, and some of the folks in the Lagoon Manor goes way up the hill here, so here's a nice little place.
Yeah.
All kind of patriotic and stuff.
Yeah.
Got big nice decks out of it. A million lawn chairs. Plus their boathouse, you can see it tucked in behind the trees there, so they are really ideally protected. And we're passing Walker Point. Wow, there's a ton of fish down there. Ooh, it's a little creepy. You can see the rocks. It's always a little scary after Florida where you can't see the bottom, you just gotta look on the radar. Here you can see the rocks and they're so visible that it's like, am I gonna hit them? But they're too far down. And there's the rest of Northwest Bay. We're getting toward the top. Well, this is kind of interesting. These there's a big flock of Canada geese out there. You'll see them as sort of a reddish line going toward the far shoreline. And then there's probably 200 of them over here. And if you're watching in 4K, I'm sure you can see them. They see me, and I'm pretty far away still. I'm 100 yards away from them. But they're kind of swimming away from the boat. I'm going to give them a wide berth. I suspect they're resting here, and they may be headed north, but it's a little late to be headed north.
Maybe they have babies with them.
Maybe they got babies, yeah. It would be a ton of babies.
Yeah.
There they go. Yeah, they're coming back. They did a big loop after they got scared by the water skier. And it looks like they're gonna loop in for a landing. So we're at the top of Northwest Bay and we're heading into Northwest Bay Creek. And we're in the channel. And it's gonna be tight. But we don't want to knock anybody over.
You want to go between the red and the green.
You're good.
You're right in the middle.
Unless you don't trust me, it's sudden movement, you know? Now, this will be tight,
Yeah.
but fun. Yep.
Hello.
Let's see if I can not get my prop snagged on the buoy rope.
Yeah.
Nope, it's vertical. Yeah, we're rounding the bend here. Now we're in the creek. And we're catching up with the neighborhood kayakers here. But this stuff is true wilderness. Everything off on the right is full-on Adirondack protected wilderness. And actually the spot on the left is protected wilderness. You cannot walk in there. Catching anything?
Got a couple.
Yeah?
Got the big one.
Oh, you did?
Yep. Good.
So a short boat ride away from our dock, you're essentially driving up a wild Adirondack river, which to me is just magnificent. And just below the surface, there's snapping turtles and all kinds of stuff. Motor's running okay. Okay, we're pulling into one of my favorite spots in the universe here. And I'm not going to name the real name of it because I want to... you probably can figure it out, but let's just call it Dead Pine Point. There you go. Gonna see if it's warm enough to swim. This is why we like here. That may be the triumph of optimism over rationality right there. So does the old movie line, "What's the matter, McFly? Are you a chicken?" This is about as deep as I want to go. It's starting to hurt. Hey, but it feels good. Okay, I accidentally didn't roll the first time I did this, so I got to do this a second time. Going in. Actually, I didn't realize how hot it was today, which is why this isn't terrible. This actually feels good. But this part of the bay, the wind blows out of the south, and it takes all the top warm water and crams it into this little bay here. Wonder if there are any fish nibbling at my feet. Well, that's enough nuttiness for one afternoon. Motor still works good, too. Well, thanks for coming along. Hope we didn't bore you to tears with all this arcane knowledge of beautiful Lake George, New York. That's it. More adventures ahead. Good night, everybody.